everyone, Hannah here today, and I am here to review the K-drama known as Blood. So, the last episode just came out today, which is April 21st, and I watched it, and I cried, and I need to explain everything to you guys, and rant and get my feels off my chest. And also, if you haven't seen it yet, I will not be spoiling it until later in the video, so you can stay tuned until then. Anyway, let's get started. So, Blood is what I would describe as a supernatural medical drama. There's a lot of supernatural vampire stuff to it, but it's set in a hospital, and so you kind of get a mix of two different genres almost. Our main character, Park Jae-sung, he is a vampire, and he has been a vampire since he was born, and he has just been spending his life trying to find a way to make him human. He wants to live as a human. He doesn't want to be immortal and be a vampire and all that. He wants to be human. And then he goes to Taemin Cancer Hospital. He goes there to work, and there's some people there. They're not too happy about him in general. They're kind of not his pals, and it's hard to explain this. Just know that it's vampires set in a hospital, and it's fun. It's a good time. As the show title suggests, you can probably guess that there's a lot of blood in this show. So, if you're a really squeamish person, might not be the best thing for you to watch. However, I feel like the amount of blood in the series actually goes down with the episodes. The first few episodes is where we really have, a lot of, surgeries and blood and stuff like that. Yeah, there's blood in later episodes, but not so much as there is in the first few episodes. So if you're worried that it's just going to be a ton of it, I wouldn't be too concerned with it, because I'm not the most, tolerant of blood either. There was even some parts at the beginning where I couldn't watch because there's surgery and stuff. But if you can handle that, I think you can probably easily get through the rest of the series, because it didn't seem like it was that bad to me. The only negative thing I really have to say about this show is that the first few episodes started out a bit slow for me. I watched the first couple episodes and I was this is okay, whatever. It was interesting, but it wasn't so interesting that I couldn't wait to watch it or anything like that. But I think around maybe episode 4 or 5, things started to get really interesting, and I just couldn't stop watching it, and it went all uphill from there. But I do have to say that I wish the first couple episodes might have not been as slow-paced. Another thing about the show, which could be either a positive or a negative depending on who you are and how you look at it, is that this romance just takes a really long time to build up. I don't think we actually get a kiss until episode 16. And whereas a lot of K-dramas take Secret Garden, for example, Kim Ju-won's already in love with the lead by the second episode, first episode maybe. I don't even know, but it seems like a lot of K-dramas, the romance starts pretty quickly on, whereas this one takes a really long time, which some people were come on, let's get to it already, whereas I was more of the thank you for slowing this down and taking time for this relationship. To me, it made it seem more realistic, and I kind of like that, because I'm not really big on the whole insta-love, love at first sight type thing, so I was really happy that this romance sort of built over a period of time, and also the fact that the two main leads did not like each other at all. It wasn't even a one-sided I hate you sort of thing. They actually really didn't like each other. So I felt like it was a really natural progression into romance. That made me really happy. This drama is just full of both awesome main characters and side characters. I love the characters in this show so much. Except for the villains. I hate the villains because they're so terrible. They're just terrible people, and that's why I hate them. But as characters, they are good characters, and all the acting in the show is phenomenal, and I love it. I think that's probably all I'm going to say for non-spoilery bits. So, if you haven't watched this show yet, I really, 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 really recommend that you do. Like, it is completely worth it. I was really iffy about it at the beginning, and I know I'm not the only one, but if you just stick it out, it is such a good show, and I would recommend it to literally anyone who likes, like, supernatural drama type stuff. So, yes, go and watch it if you haven't done that already. If you have, go ahead and stick around, and I shall discuss spoilers. Okay, so I have to talk about one of my favorite scenes in the show that actually happened pretty early on. I don't remember what part it was at, but it was when Rita was kind of starting to figure out that Jae-sung was a vampire. Like, she wasn't, like, completely sure about it, but she was like, why is he so freezing cold and all that stuff? So it was when she was going to try and figure out, like, test his pulse or, like, figure out why he was cold or something, and he was sleeping, and he woke up and she's just like, can you do this? And then he's like, I don't know why, I just found that part really freaking hilarious. And I feel like that really kind of shows how their relationship was at the beginning of the series. Because they were really tiptoeing around each other and just not like each other. And I just found that kind of part of the show really funny. Like, when they were sort of like catfighting almost is what I want to call it. One of my favorite side characters was Hyun Woo. I just loved him. I loved his friendship with Jae-sung. Like, I thought it was really awesome that even though he was like a vampire and was always moving around, he still had someone he could rely on, and I just thought Hyun Woo was awesome. At first I was kind of a bit like, where the heck did this guy come from? Why is there no explanation? Obviously, we get that later in the show if you watch it, and Hyun Woo explains that he was, like, online or whatever, talking about this, and everybody thought he was crazy. And Jae-sung was the only one that was like, hey, your vampire theory might be possible. So, I mean, once we got actual explanation for why Hyun Woo was there, I felt like that plot hole was fixed. But at first I was like, well, where did this guy come from? But anyway, enough about that. I just loved Hyun Woo. I thought he was like the comic relief of the show, and I just loved his little robot that he made, Lovey. I thought that robot was so funny, and just, I loved Hyun Woo so much. Another thing about the show that made me really happy is when Jae-sung actually finally decides to trust the other doctor, to trust Ji-tae. I just really made me happy that they were able to work together, because it's really hard. It was really hard with them trying to work together when they weren't really giving each other like all the information. Like, it was like a truce. It was like a truce, but it wasn't really like we're buddies type thing. And it made me really happy that he was able to open up about that, because Ji-tae also has, like, some history with this, like, his father doing all this research as well as Jae-sung's parents, and I thought it was really awesome that the two of them came together to try and solve this mystery of just vampireism, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. Now we need to talk about the villains, because I hate them so much, because they kill everyone I love. And while I hate the director, he's not even the one I hate the most. Because I feel like even though the director, like, does some insane things and kills people and does terrible things, he seems like he still has the ability to, at sometimes, hold back a little bit. This other person, no. And I don't even remember his name because he made me so angry, but he was the guy with, like, the glasses, and was always like smiling and being nice around the patients and just like, oh, like this. In fact, I'm gonna call him Mr. Nice Guy because I don't actually remember his name. I feel like there was an H in there somewhere, but that doesn't really narrow it down. So I'm calling him Mr. Nice Guy. New nickname for him. Anyway, Mr. Nice Guy was just a freaking psychopath. Okay, first of all, when he killed the one doctor, which, you know, out of panic, I could see that, but still, like, poor guy wasn't even involved in any of the vampire stuff. Couldn't he have just somehow been like, oh, you were hallucinating, or like knocked him out and just had him wake up and be like, oh, it's a dream? Like, I don't think you need to kill him. Like, killing people is so extreme. And then when he killed Hyun Woo, I wanted to reach into the screen and choke him to death because that was not okay. Like, even before he killed Hyunwoo, I was, when he beat up Hyunwoo, I was just like, you can't do that. That's like kicking a puppy. That is not acceptable. Like, no. No. And then they actually killed him, and oh my gosh, I cried. I could not handle that. Why did they have to kill Hyunwoo? He was like my favorite side character, and just, he was so important to Jae-sung, and he was just starting to get a relationship of his own, and I was just like 1000% not okay with his death. I was really hoping that no one from our, like, hero lineup of, like, you know, all the good guys, I was really hoping none of them would die. Unrealistic, but I was really hoping that they wouldn't die. Okay, speaking of death, just the finale. I have a lot of things to say about the finale in particular. That is the episode I just finished watching. I sobbed through, like, the beginning of it and then through the end of it because, you know, we're still feeling the pain from Hyun-woo's death. And then the freaking directors doing all this stuff and, like, trying to blackmail Jae-sung, and then, like, it turns out that Jae-sung has to die in order to get this cure. And I kind of saw it coming a little bit because they never, when Hyunwoo was going around telling everyone that he had found a solution to the disease or whatever, it was kind of like he didn't really finish what he was saying, and, like, he never actually told Jae-sung about it, so it was like, what? I feel like there's a catch. Like, I know you found it, but what's the catch? And it turns out the catch is that only Jae-sung's special blood can actually save all these patients that are being infected by the evil director and his minions. The ending just killed me, though. The fact that Jae-sung was there up on the roof dying. He finally got to see the sunrise, which he had never seen his entire life, but Rita was there, but just the fact that he left Rita behind just killed me on the inside. Like, that entire death scene, I was just sobbing. I couldn't contain myself. My makeup in my eyes got in my eyes again, like when I watched Secret Garden and I had makeup on, and I cried, and then it all got in my eyeballs, and it was burning really bad. And so I had to pause to go wash my face again, so that was fun. But then, when I thought, you know, even though this is a really sad ending, this actually wrapped things up. This actually makes sense. Like, this is a solid ending. And then, the last minute happens. So I was like, oh my gosh, she went to Kochenya or whatever and met that girl that Jae-sung saved in his place. Like, because obviously he died, so he couldn't go and see her. But she went in his place. I was like, oh, this is perfect epilogue type thing. And then I'm like, what just happened? Like, she gets attacked by the vampires, right? And someone saves her. And part of me is like, ooh, maybe that's Jae-sung. And then I'm like, no. It could be Jae-sung. He died. Maybe Hyun-woo, but, like, I don't know how that would work. And then we see that it's actually Jae-sung. But it makes me wonder, is it actually Jae-sung? Like, is it him? Is it him now as a human, although I don't know how he'd be able to defeat the vampires? Is it him reincarnated because he talked about, like, seeing her again in another life or something like that? Like, is it actually him? Is it someone who looks like him? Like, everything made sense until the last minute. And then I was just like, what is that supposed to mean? Are they going to make a sequel to this show? Because I feel like I really need a sequel when you leave me with an ending like that. And the fact that the director's not actually dead like I thought he was, super disappointing. Now he just looks really old. But, like, he didn't die. He just got old. I'm confused about that too. But, like, I feel like I wouldn't have needed another season. But then that last minute happened, and I really need to know what that means. Like, I I need to know, is it actually him? Is it someone who looks like him? What is it? So anyway, I hope you guys all enjoyed. I absolutely loved Blood. I just fell in love with the characters, and the storyline was so interesting and action-packed. And while the first couple episodes were a bit slow, and I was like really confused at the very end, I really enjoyed it. I would give it like a 95%. I'm gonna rate it on a percentage scale. I'm gonna give it like a 95% because I just loved it so much. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. I hope you liked this review. Be sure to like, comment below, subscribe, and me and Katie, or like Katie or me, or some combination. We'll see you soon in another video. Goodbye!